What does it take to break a man who's already lost everything? Marcus Kane stood in the courtroom, his broad shoulders squared, eyes fixed on the judge's bench. The air was thick with tension, the kind that clings to your skin and makes every whisper feel like a shout. A decorated Navy SEAL, Marcus had faced death in deserts and jungles, but nothing prepared him for this. A trumped-up charge of assault, pinned on him by Officer Daniel Holt, a cop with a badge and a grudge. The accusation? Marcus had attacked Holt during a routine traffic stop. The truth? Holt's racial slurs and drawn gun had provoked a defensive reflex from a man trained to survive. Now, Marcus faced a jury, his freedom hanging by a thread. The courtroom buzzed as Holt took the stand, his smirk barely concealed. "He came at me, Your Honor," Holt lied, his voice dripping with false sincerity. A danger to society. Marcus's fists clenched under the table. He'd spent 20 years serving a country that now seemed ready to discard him. His lawyer, a young woman named Lena Carter, leaned close. "Stay calm," she whispered. "We've got this." Her eyes burned with a fire Marcus recognized, a hunger for justice. Lena was no ordinary attorney. A former prosecutor turned public defender, she'd seen the system chew up men like Marcus and spit them out. She'd taken his case pro bono, driven by a gut feeling that this was bigger than one man's fight. As Holt spun his tale, Lena's pen moved furiously, noting every inconsistency. Marcus watched her, wondering how someone so small could carry such ferocity. She wasn't just fighting for him. She was fighting a war against a system that thrived on men like Holt. The twist came when Lena called an unexpected witness, Sarah, a barista who'd been parked nearby during the traffic stop. The courtroom fell silent as Sarah, a timid woman with trembling hands, took the stand. "I saw everything," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "The officer, he called him names. Awful names. He pulled his gun first. Marcus didn't attack, was protecting himself." Gasps rippled through the room. Holt's face drained of color. Lena had found Sarah through a tip from a local activist group, a detail she'd kept hidden until this moment. The jury shifted in their seats, their doubt palpable. Lena's cross-examination of Holt was surgical. She dismantled his story, exposing contradictions in his report, timestamps that didn't align, and body cam footage conveniently lost. "Officer Holt," she said, her voice like steel, "did you provoke my client because of his race?" Holt stammered, his bravado crumbling. Lena pressed harder, her questions like bullets. "You targeted him, didn't you? You thought you could ruin a black man's life and walk away." The courtroom was electric, every eye on Holt as he squirmed. Then came the moment that changed everything. Lena presented a final piece of evidence, a recording from Marcus's phone, accidentally activated during the stop. Holt's voice filled the room, spewing venomous slurs, followed by the unmistakable sound of a gun being cocked. The jury's faces hardened. Holt sank in his seat, his arrogance replaced by panic. "Please," he muttered, barely audible. "I didn't mean, but it was too late." Lena turned to the jury, her voice steady but fierce. "This isn't just about one man's innocence. It's about a system that lets men like Officer Holt hide behind a badge." Marcus felt something shift inside him, not just hope, but pride. Lena hadn't just defended him. She'd exposed a truth that burned brighter than any verdict. The jury deliberated for less than an hour. "Not guilty." The words hit Marcus like a wave, washing away months of fear. Holt was escorted out, his career in ruins, his plea for leniency ignored by the judge. As the courtroom emptied, Marcus approached Lena. "Why'd you fight so hard for me?" he asked. She smiled, a mix of exhaustion and triumph. "Because someone has to stop them, Marcus. And because you're worth fighting for." For the first time in months, Marcus felt seen not as a soldier, not as a defendant, but as a man. He walked out of the courthouse, the sun warm on his face, knowing that justice, though rare, was possible. Lena had given him more than freedom. She'd given him back his dignity. "Yendi,"